You're listening to Search the Scriptures Daily, a program in which we encourage everyone who desires to know God's truth to look to God's Word for all that is essential for salvation and living one's life in a way that is pleasing to Him. We're continuing our series on the emerging church movement in this segment of our program, and if you're not familiar with this trend in evangelical Christianity, it's perhaps the fastest growing movement in the church today, especially among young adults. It's drawing mostly those between the ages of 18 and 30, and particularly those who have been turned off by seeker-sensitive or purpose-driven churches that were heavily involved in the church growth activities. And a claimed goal of the emerging church movement is to introduce what they call a reinvented or reimagined Christianity to the world, and particularly to our youth culture, which is really heavily influenced by postmodern attitudes, beliefs, and practices. Dave, to begin with, I guess I need to reiterate that there is a diversity of beliefs among those who are on board the emerging church movement, and some seem to be dabbling in it, while others, they want to maintain the whole program. They really want to get involved, but there are those who, conservative Christians, churches, who kind of like some aspects of it, and they're getting on board. And what I'd like to discuss today is some of the aspects of the emerging church movement that are attractive to young people. Now, first of all, as I said, many are turned off by the worldly influences that have been introduced into their evangelical churches. Of course, I'm referring to seeker-friendly, seeker-sensitive programs, purpose-driven. Many churches have gone heavily into the purpose-driven movement, and so they're very popular, especially among the larger churches that can afford the different programs, and it can be pretty expensive.
But aren't they going to get worldly influences in this movement, too?
Well, Dave, I don't think there's any doubt about it. I think it's both movements are really consumer-oriented. You give the young people what they want, and you give the older people commercial music, whatever venue they like. Mm-hmm. Dave, here's my question. The young people are saying, well, these seeker-friendly movements, they lack a reverence, a spirituality that they want. What would you say to that?
Well, it depends on what you mean by reverence. I don't think, I don't know. I've been to Rick Warren's church and watched him, heard him talk, and seen what goes on there. I didn't find a lack of reverence, but if you want something like in the Orthodox Church or the Catholic Church, you want liturgy and so forth, then you would probably call that irreverent. But I wouldn't call, it depends. What kind of a worship team do you have? Are they up there jazzing it up? Are they up there performing? Or is there some reverence? That's one of the problems that I've faced too, Tom.
Well, people, maybe this says more about our age, Dave. You see guys in there with ball caps on. You see people drinking lattes, getting comfortable. And you can say, well, come on, Tom, you're being old-fashioned here. Well, what I'm getting at, and maybe it's because I grew up in Roman Catholic Church for 30 years, and not that it was really more spiritual, but it gave you a sense of awe and reverence for God in the environment you were in, as opposed to something that's so casual. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, we're just kind of here.
Well, Tom, to me, it's pretty simple. Would it fly in the presence of God in heaven? Better think about that, because I've seen some so-called worship teams. I mean, they seem to go out of their way. We got the new must look for the hair now, for example, or I don't know, you got to have jeans with holes in it because then you're with it. But
or performance is a big deal.
It is a performance. But I have an objection, and I'm going to anger some people out there. They'll say, well, we're not going to have you back again. But I have a problem with this whole worship team idea. It's kind of like, okay, now we're going to worship. And in order to worship, we got these guys and gals up there, and they're going to sing some songs, and that will bring us into worship. I can tell you, I was raised in a fellowship. Doesn't mean that this is the right way to do it. But I'll tell you, we had reverence. Mm-hmm. We remembered the death, burial, and resurrection of Christ with the bread and the cup every week. Now, we sat there. I mean, there was nobody getting up there singing, come on now, let's do this and that. I can tell you there was weeping. Hearts were bowed in worship as we sat there thinking about what Christ did for us. See, to me, worship is not just somebody up there getting you going singing. It's a much deeper thing than that comes from the heart with a profound, thoughtful appreciation of who God is, who Jesus Christ is, what it cost for our redemption. And I don't find that in most of these so-called worship services and worship teams.
Yeah. Dave, now, usually I stay out of this. I mean, I'm tone deaf. I can make a joyful noise unto the Lord, but music is not my deal. But so I like to, kind of back off and let you take the heat for some of this. But I'm going to step forward here just with an idea, a thought, an opinion, and people can just blow it off, just as soon as it comes out, after it comes out of my mouth. I think that a worship team, people that bring music, I mean, that's totally biblical. I go through the Psalms and I see all of the different instruments, and that's great. But what I would like to see is have the worship team or group or whatever you want to call them move to the back of the church, so they're not a distraction. Let their music come forth and so on. That just an idea.
Yeah, Tom, I find that an awful lot of the songs they sing that are popular with various churches, I don't find much worship in it. I've said it before. We worship. We've fallen in love with love, and we praise. But there's nothing about the Lord. Worship is worshiping Him. I want to have some thoughts about Him if I'm going to be worshiping Him. If I'm going to be praising Him, I've said it, but I'll say it again. Sometimes I sit there and I think, well, praise and worship. Well, what are we praising? And who are we worshiping? There's no substance in a lot of this stuff. It's, now, okay, I'm over the hill and I'm old. But I can tell you, I could begin to quote him and I won't. I've done it before. But there are hymns from the past have real substance. Let me just quote one that I probably quoted before. In weakness, like defeat, He won the victor's crown. Mm-hmm. Tread all our foes beneath His feet by being trodden down. He, Satan's power laid low, made sin, He sin o'erthrew, bowed to the grave, destroyed it so, and death by dying slew. Now, there's something for you to think about. Mm-hmm. And the word worship or praise was not in it, but we are worshiping the Lord and praising Him. Okay, now, I shouldn't have said it anyway. Junk this whole program because people are going to be unhappy, but I hope they will at least take me seriously.
Yeah. Dave, I'll give an example. I'm stepping up to take some of the heat for this. I'll give you an example of a hymn, so-called, that people just love, and it doesn't make any sense. Try this one. Worship His Majesty.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah, well, that's a Kingdom Dominion.
I know that.
Song.
I know that. But how can you worship that quality, that characteristic?
For more information about the Berean call us toll-free at our order number or visit our website